Good morning, everyone. For the record, my name is Liz Braden, District Councillor for District 9. I am the Chair of the Boston City Council Committee on Strong Women, Families and Communities. I'm joined by my colleagues this morning, Councillor Erin Murphy at large and Councillor Russie Louis-Jean, City Councillor at large. This hearing is being recorded. It is live streamed on boston.gov/city-council-tv and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82 and FiOS Channel 964. Written comments may be sent to the committee email at the ccc.swfc@boston.gov and will be made a part of the record and available to all councillors. Public testimony will be taken at the end of the hearing. If you wish to sign up for public testimony here in the chamber, please sign in at the sheet near the door. If you're looking to testify virtually, please email Shane Pack, SHANEPAC, at shane.pack@boston.gov for the link, and your name will be added to the list. Today's hearing is on docket number 0261, order for a hearing to discuss the results of last year's Youth Summer Jobs Programme and the social emotional benefits of summer employment. The docket is sponsored by Councillor at large Erin Murphy. Applications for the 2023 Success Link Summer Jobs Programme are now open. There are 7,000 summer job positions for youth aged 14 to 18 with in-person and hybrid opportunities at non-profits, community-based organisations and city agencies. This morning we will hear from representatives of the Office of Youth Employment and Opportunity and the Boston Public Schools and the Boston Public Health Commission. With no further ado, I will hand over to the lead sponsor, Councillor Erin Murphy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Chair Braden, and thank you to the panelists for being here. Hello, good morning. So when you go on your website, the Youth Summer Job website, it says all in bold letters, employing Boston's youth for future success. So exactly the reason why I filed this hearing, and I know it's work we did last year during budget season 2, is making sure that we're talking about youth summer jobs now. And thank you to the chair. I know our scheduling council meetings have been challenging this year round, so getting this in while the application process is still open and kids know that this opportunity is there is important. We have more positions to fill this summer, which is great. I know last year, and we've expanded this year, we've connected with nonprofits and not just city agencies for opportunities for kids. But I don't want to go another year where there are kids who would benefit from a youth summer job, but we haven't connected them to one, right? I think of that kid who may be sitting in his house playing video games or, watching TV, when there's these opportunities that him or his mom, dad, aunt just aren't aware of, that they're there for them. That means, for me, it's our responsibility to get the word out. So I'm hoping from this hearing that you see this, Rashad, as a partnership, that how can we on the council help connect either with different city departments or our own offices, because I know each councilor does a good job about reaching out to constituents, especially about good things like this, where there's opportunities for our youth. So it's our responsibility, if it's through the schools, public schools, libraries, community centers, churches, health centers. I keep thinking, how many other places can I talk to about this opportunity? The activities and opportunities available to our youth affect their social emotional health. Summer jobs provide our children with the routine that they lack in the absence of school, while allowing them to continue gaining new skills regarding work experience, confidence, exploring potential future careers, possibly developing job skills, gaining financial literacy by earning some money and understanding how do you spend it, how do you save it, what do you do with the money you're earning, building a sense of community and responsibility, and reducing the risk of behavior that we don't want to see, and we want to make sure we're supporting our youth and gaining from these opportunities. Partnering with nonprofits has expanded the diverse job opportunities and offerings our children has that they may not otherwise have thought of. There's 12 pages, which is exciting, but when I printed it out front and back, there's a lot of different jobs, organizations that have stepped up. So I want to thank all of those organizations. They've stepped up and offered, and it says in the column, everyone should look like how many jobs they're actually offering our kids. So it's great that all, for some examples, Courageous Sailing, New England Aquarium, Future Chefs are like, they've stepped up for our kids. Last summer, I helped a boy from Dorchester connect to a summer job at Artists for Humanities, and he was working with other peers his age, doing what he loved, digital art and 3D printing. He also took the Red Line to Broadway in the morning, and he had met a few friends after the couple days there. His dad had dropped him off the first day. He was a little nervous, but by the third day, he was hopping on the Red Line, getting off at Broadway and walking up to, West 2nd Street to the job. So it was a great opportunity for like all of the reasons I had mentioned before. And I just want to speak, last year we did talk about when we had shut down, because this opportunity is open, Success Link. When we had shut it down, there were still half the jobs that could have been filled. And I know we may have more jobs than are possible, but I do want to make sure that we are addressing and hearing from you today, what are the barriers for our youth to apply? Is it getting your working papers? Is it having an adult that maybe can help you go through the process? Whatever those barriers are, no judgment. What can we do to help make sure kids are accessing these jobs? And also, how do we do and support you, like I said earlier, in promoting these jobs? I hear from so many parents, families, kids, they have no idea that they could work, at these different places. Like, oh, I could get a job at the community center because now I'm too old to be a camper. So I think it's important that, we work together and get the word out, because this is something, great that the city's doing. I do just want to take one quick second. I did just find out last night about the panelists, so I know that you'll have the opportunity to introduce yourselves. But I was hoping, Rashad, you were obviously top on the list of being here, and I know you'll be able to provide us with almost all the questions we have. But I was hoping Rebecca Granger, with doing some research in my office to find some good panelists to come today, I found out that we have a children's cabinet in the city of Boston, and Rebecca Granger is the lead, and she's tasked with, that cabinet is tasked with advancing opportunities for children and teenagers. So hopefully she wasn't able, I guess, to be here today, but I was hoping that voice, because it seems like the perfect cabinet to be part of this conversation. How are we advancing opportunities for our youth and children? And also Brian Marks from BPS, whose job title is Boston Public Schools Opportunity Youth. So I do hope that, we keep the conversation to, our 14 and 18-year-old summer job opportunities, and I hope we get a lot out of this, so thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. I'm going to introduce the panel when my colleagues get a chance to make their opening statement. We've just been joined by Council President Ed Flynn. Councillor Louis-Jean, would you like to make an opening statement?
Sure, and I'll be brief. I just want to thank the members of administration for being here to talk about how we make sure that all of our young people have access to good quality summer jobs. We know that summer jobs is an important element to making sure that our children are living full lives and have something to do, as we try to think about how do we keep our young people engaged and put money in their pockets at the same time. I had my first job at the age of 14, subsidized by the city of Boston. And so my sister did red shirts. I did my town very much through the pipeline of youth summer jobs in my family, and want to make sure that's available. And not only did I have a job during the summer, that job that I had during the summer, I had during the school year. So we're not just talking about summer jobs, hopefully, but also about year-round jobs for our young people, but also making sure that your office has everything that you need to execute the technical assistance and the technical framework to be able to execute on matching our young people with employers, expanding that employer network, especially for a year-round job. So I'm excited to be part of the conversation. I want to thank all of you for the work that you do and the commitment to our young kids in the city, and looking forward to this discussion.
Thank you, Councillor Louisiane. Councillor Flynn.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the sponsors, Councillor Murphy, for bringing this forward, to the administration team that's here, for the important work you are doing in ensuring young people across the city have access to a meaningful summer job and that they are able to get the necessary training and build up skills and build up a resume. And it's a great opportunity for young people to have that type of experience, especially as they prepare themselves, maybe for college, maybe for the workforce, but those skills and lessons, life lessons of showing up on time and working a full day and being accountable and helping your teammates at work are all important qualities going into college or a career. So I want to say thank you to Councilor Murphy for this important work, and to the administration panel for ensuring young people have access to a good summer job. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Flynn. Again, just echo my colleagues' sentiments. I feel that, we're coming out of COVID. It's been a Herculean effort to try and provide summer jobs when we were working in the hybrid spaces, and we're really ready to ramp up, and our young people are really deserve the opportunity to get a robust offering of summer jobs that will build their resumes, build some really good marketable skills, build their confidence and their leadership skills. So this is a huge benefit for our young people. And I'm also really glad, thank you, Councillor Murphy, for bringing this issue up early. Sometimes we have this conversation in the middle of the budget conversation, and it's weeks before the deadline, before we're having the conversation 3 weeks before the jobs are supposed to start in July. So it's really good to have this early conversation, so that if we have any remedial action that needs to be taken to get us back on track, then that'll be good. So thank you all for being here this morning. We're joined by Rashad Cope, Deputy Chief of the Worker Empowerment Cabinet and the Office of Youth Employment and Opportunity. Thank you for being here. Ted Lombardi, I give you an A instead of an O there. Lombardi, Secondary Superintendent of College, Career and Life Readiness from the Boston Public Schools. And Anthony Crossan, Director of Boston Area Health Education Centre, Boston Public Health Commission. Thank you all for being here this morning. And whoever wants to open up the conversation, you're welcome.
Great. Can you guys hear me here?
Yes.
Excellent. Good morning, Councilor Braden and fellow council members. I'll jump right in and pretty much just give an update on where we are currently at with summer jobs going into 2023, talk a little bit about some of the highlights from summer 2022, and then just let my fellow colleagues here kind of just share as well, and then be happy to take any additional questions. Hope that sounds okay.
That sounds good.
That's great. So I'll just keep my remarks pretty brief. And so Boston definitely has a strong youth jobs ecosystem. We don't do this work alone as a city. The ecosystem consists of the Boston Private Industry Council, ABCD Summer Works, Youth Options Unlimited, of course, BPS, MLK Scholars, and there are many other strong entities who we feel are leaders in the youth job space alongside the city, also including Northeastern University, who has been truly instrumental in really assessing and evaluating the social, emotional, and also the educational impact of summer employment. And we continue to really work together to increase coordination amongst all of these intermediaries because it's a huge, collective effort to make sure everyone is on the same page and where, there's a holistic and an inclusive strategy to ensure workforce development opportunities for young people. The social emotional, as many of you all mentioned, the social and emotional benefits of youth jobs, like we've experienced just through observation, research, testimonials from young people by way of getting out into the community, visiting some of these job sites, having conversations with partners, having conversations with young people while they're employed, that youth jobs, it does provide some of these social emotional learning benefits. It allows really a space for young people to develop themselves into adults, right? And that's increasing self-awareness. It supports responsible decision-making and behavior change. It supports academic achievement as youth become excited about a potential career goal by way of their participation in summer jobs, and it motivates young people to do better in school. It connects young people to healthy adults who can become lifelong mentors and provide continued life guidance. And it teaches young people about just positive relationships. So the benefits of youth jobs, and we've seen this has come from discussions, from research, it is paramount. Last summer, during this past year, so we're talking about summer 2022 and the 2022-2023 current school year, we were able to employ collectively 6,403 young people. Of that, 4,547 was during the summer of 2022. And then 1,856 young people are currently engaged in school year employment. And that is, that is broken down a few different ways. We have some incredible city agencies who continue to step up every year to provide job opportunities to young people. Some of those city agencies are BCYF, Boston Parks and Rec. There are even some BPHC. There's even, of course, Anthony here is a representative from BPHC, so he can talk a little bit more about some of the job offerings that's provided through BPHC. And there's also some summer jobs here in City Hall, which we call summer jobs in city government. We awarded $3.1 million last summer in grant funding to 40 nonprofit organizations to provide youth employment opportunities. So that was a grant-making model in which allowed us to really decentralize, some of the challenges of hiring every young person through the city. Our thinking was, how can we provide just full autonomy to our nonprofit organizations who have the infrastructure to be able to manage the administrative process of recruiting a young person, hiring a young person, and managing the payroll as well. And we've seen tremendous success with that grant-making model, so much so that we have decided this year to shift all of our nonprofit organizations to a full grant-making model and find ways for the city to provide technical assistance and support those organizations around capacity building. We partner with 187 community-based organizations. A part of the Youth Jobs Program, is funding for the Learn and Earn initiative, which started during the pandemic, and that was one of the true successes, of connecting young people to virtual learning opportunities in which they are able to take college courses for credit and also receive career coaching as well. So that's continuing. We have also supported the Dreamers Fellowship, which we will continue to do. And that is more of a skill and leadership development program for immigrant youth, regardless of status. And then in addition to just the jobs for 14 to 18-year-olds, last summer there were 376 young adults between the ages of 19 to 24 that are also a part of the Summer Jobs Program that we provide job opportunities to. And those young adults are truly instrumental in terms of their supervision of young people who are participating in Youth Jobs Program. They help some of these nonprofits who need the capacity, right? They add capacity, to allow these organizations to be able to provide a meaningful job opportunity to these young people. In terms of just some of the challenges, and I'll just speak very just earnestly to some of the challenges, and you know, Councilor Murphy, appreciate just your partnership and just helping think through, you know, like let's acknowledge, you know, that this is a huge Herculean effort, right? We're talking about thousands and thousands of young people, you know, that we need to connect to a short-term employment program. During a time in which, you know, there's young people may, you know, have fluctuating schedules, you know, family commitments, you know, so, you know, I think all of these things we have to take into consideration as we are talking about just summer jobs. But we've continued to see young people navigate challenges with the administrative process, and that's really just hiring, right? Like, connecting young people to a job, you know, personally, I don't feel like that's our biggest challenge. It's just getting young people through, you know, the paperwork process, having young people, you know, collect birth certificates and social security cards and, you know, and getting signatures for the work permit, which is required for every young person. There's a few signatures, and we've talked about this, you know, just, you know, as an ecosystem. You know, there's a few signatures, you know, that are required for a work permit to actually be finalized from the young person, from a parent, from a physician. So those things need to happen, and we have seen those as some barriers for young people. In terms of just like, you know, there are also some post-pandemic challenges as well, that is a true reality, right? So with the, you know, with the COVID and pandemic shutdowns, you know, some of the schedules for young people, you know, tended to be unpredictable. Young people, you know, were still, you know, testing positive for COVID, which required some young people to, you know, not actually work, you know, during the summer months as well. So I think that that's a reality. Mask mandates, social distancing, some of those things were a reality last year as well. You know, the tight labor market, I think we have seen, you know, that there are other jobs that tend to, you know, have begun to pay more, you know, for young people. Young people, you know, have been competing, you know, for jobs at Target, you know, and Amazon that's paying, you know, $17, $18 an hour for the same age group of young people that, you know, are being targeted for, you know, some of the summer job opportunities as well. So we know that those things aren't going away. So, you know, just having the conversation around just wage parity, you know, across the board for young people is a really important conversation, because those things can continue to come up as well. Adjustments to hybrid curriculum and program modules, and then just, you know, continuing to really make sure that there is full support for, you know, community-based and nonprofit organizations that reflect some of the post-pandemic challenges. Yeah, I think that, like, I mean, that's it on my end. I mean, I have a ton of more information here, you know, that I can share, you know, as questions arise. But, you know, we're pretty confident, like, going into this summer. We, the Office of Youth Employment and Opportunity has shifted underneath the Worker Empowerment Cabinet, and the Worker Empowerment Cabinet, you know, under Chief Trent's leadership, you know, has been truly, you know, just instrumental in having, you know, just grounded strategies around workforce development. And we truly see youth jobs, you know, as a workforce development initiative for young people, because we're preparing young people for future careers, right? So, you know, there's, you know, we're thinking intentionally around just the alignment, you know, of making sure young people are prepared for jobs in some of these emerging, you know, industries and occupations, and thinking, you know, what are some things that we can do within this youth jobs program, you know, from, you know, a preparation standpoint, making sure that, you know, young people, you know, are gaining the skills, you know, that are recognized by industries and occupations, right? And how are we actually tracking that as well? So we're excited about that, and where I think the last thing, that I mentioned earlier is, we're continuing to work very, very, I guess intentionally with, with our research partner at Northeastern University. Alicia Montesino has documented just the impact of summer jobs. There's some national research, that she's been a part of. And Boston, has always been looked at as a model for youth employment. And we're continuing to learn through her research ways in which we can align and adapt, just key strategies from other, cities as well, to make sure that, we are just doing our job and improving and increasing opportunities for young people.
Thank you. I think we'll just keep going with the panel and then have the questions at the end, if that's okay. So who's you next? Anthony?
Yes. Well, good morning,
Good morning.
Chairman Braden and Councilor Murphy and all of those that are here. Thank you for hosting this morning and calling this hearing. This is cool. I think we work with so many young people and to know that this infrastructure around them is really encouraging. I'm Anthony Crossan. I have the privilege of being the director of the Boston Area Health Education Center at the Boston Public Health Commission, which is a youth pathways to health career program. And the goal of all of our programs within the commission and our youth summer enrichment program is to promote the physical, social, and emotional health of Boston's teens to build a foundation for academic success, community leadership, and future health. So we've been partnering with Success Link and Department of Youth Engagement and Employment for a while now, for years. And we've seen the advancements that it's made, and I think that's been really encouraging. And it allows us to do what we do and work with more young people over the course of the summer. During summer 2022, we worked with 140 students from over 30 schools, all residents of Boston, connected with us through Success Link, through the city's Office of Youth Employment and Opportunity. 60% of the students identified as female, 37% male, and 3% preferred not to answer, and over 90% of the students identified as Black or Latinx, and 60% of students lived in either Dorchester, Roxbury, or Mattapan. Over the summer, students participate in academic enrichment to better prepare for when they return to school in the fall. I think we all know that over the summer, between cookouts and swim parties, we miss a lot. Our students retain what they learn and get a gear up before they go back to school from what they do over the course of the summer. They also participate in professional development opportunities to update their skills necessary to realize a positive experience in school and in work. They participate in internships throughout the city for real-time exposure in various health fields, places like Tufts Dental or Boston Medical Center. We have a really good relationship with the Boston University Medical Campus, which has really been helpful. There are 5 different programs, though. BAHEC, or the Boston Area Health Education Center, is not the only program within the Boston Public Health Commission's Youth Summer Enrichment Programs. There are 5 different programs that students can participate in, and all with a slightly different focus. For example, in Start Strong, students focus on the prevention of teen dating violence and the promotion of healthy relationships. While in the Violence Intervention and Prevention program, students explore the roots of violence and ways to address them in 3 neighborhoods of Boston most impacted by violence. And across the programs, there is great synergy around 4 real domains or alignment areas that we consider. Because with everyone doing so much, the question is, how do you evaluate? How do you find the sweet spot where you can say, where's the efficiency of the program? And our alignment areas are around public health fundamentals, social justice, self-care, and youth development and leadership. So students participate in electives, we call them, to develop or enhance positive mental health techniques, coping strategies through expression. Some of these electives include yoga, mindfulness, boot camp, dance, Black history, spoken word, and affinity groups like Brother to Brother or Sister Talk or Community for students identifying as LGBTQ. For 14 years, I've had the privilege of working with students enrolled at BAHEC, and I can attest that these programs are making a tremendous impact. We witnessed students who would not say one word at the beginning of summer and ended by leading presentations in the front of it. And that's huge. On one occasion, we had a student who participated in a junior responder course, first responder course over the time with us. And we were blown away when she sent us an email stating that a neighbor of hers needed and required a first responder. And she was that first responder. And so she was able to manage things before the ambulance came, and you can imagine how proud she was of that opportunity and that excitement, and we prepared her for that. And the resources that we talk about today allowed for an opportunity for her to prepare for that. Upon completion of the program, all students completed an evaluation to assess the overall impact of the program on an individual basis. And it's notable that all of those alignment areas that we talked about, we've seen growth in over the course of the most recent summer and summers before. Students reported that they appreciated the opportunity to network with other students. They felt a stronger sense of responsibility to social justice and realized greater efficacy related to leadership. They were empowered by the discussions and messaging around self-worth, taking care of yourself, and communicating thoughts and feelings. They talked about identifying and pursuing personal, educational, and professional goals. So we're looking forward to working with our partners across administration to make the next summer or this summer a similar success. And thank you for your time, and thank you for opening this space. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Ted Lombardi, would you like to share what you have to say?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, councilors, for being here. Appreciate the opportunity to share what we're doing. And I don't think I can say much more about the sort of philosophies and efficacy of this programming more than what Rashad and Anthony have already said. I mean, this is really a huge tool for us to connect students to engaging activities in the summer, to continue their education through the summer, also to attach our students to some of the career pathways that they're already in. That's one of the primary buckets of work for the office that I work in, the Office of Secondary Schools, that we are expanding our career pathways and want to attach as many students to relevant summer jobs to the career pathway programming that they're in so that they can continue that work and that learning through the summer. Those are all perfectly in keeping to what we are trying to do in BPS. I think the thing that I can add, and I'll be fairly brief, I think what we're trying to do is be the real connective tissue between this programming and students at ground level. And what the way that we are trying to do that this year, kind of give that a bit of a super boost in a year where we want to engage students with more in-person learning. Hopefully we're able to not have as many restrictions as we've had in past summers with students being able to engage in person, is we're utilizing our family liaisons, who are in every school. They're partnering with our PIC career specialists that are also in all of our schools to connect with students, connect with families, make sure that these opportunities are well broadcast, well advertised, distributed at classroom level, not just posters in the hallway, but at classroom level with people that students in the school that students and families trust and know. And we believe that will give us better results this year in terms of student and family engagement. The other piece to this from our end is we asked our family liaisons also to be well-versed, as well as our helpline employees. So folks can also call the BPS helpline and get a knowledgeable person who understands what the summer job opportunities are and what the process is to apply, and can get some assistance that way as well. But we also asked both the helpline and our family liaisons to also be well-versed in our summer offerings for summer school through Schoolmint, so that we can be more of a full-service stop for families. So if you have a student in fifth grade that you're looking for a summer school opportunity, a student in 10th grade who you're looking for a summer job, you can do that in one meeting and one opportunity. So those are the things we're trying to do to sort of simplify that process for our students and for our families, to just engage more of them in the process to get more kids in summer jobs and in summer programming this year.
Thank you.
Sure.
We'll just open it up for questions from my colleagues. Councillor Murphy, would you like to start?
Thank you. And thank you for your presentations. And Anthony, sign me up for some of those summer jobs.
Right. Me too.
Those opportunities were great. One thing you said tied into one of the questions I have, like, are there neighborhoods, are there groups we're missing? Are there kids in certain, parts of the city that just are not accessing these jobs for whatever reason? And you had mentioned that a lot of your partners, you get kids from the Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan neighborhood, and you do great work with them. So Rashad, do you see that, like, what does the data show us? Because we know there's like a total number of jobs that get filled, but who's getting those jobs, right? So I definitely want to push us a little to say, who are we not connecting with? Because we're definitely connecting with a lot of kids, and a lot of kids benefit, and, even the counselors all have stories of, their own summer youth jobs, or their kids, gaining so much from it. So do you know if there's certain groups of kids you're worried the most about that aren't connecting with these opportunities?
Yeah, I think that, we have seen just wide distribution in terms of the makeup of the youth that participate in these summer jobs. And we have seen wide distribution of employers across neighborhoods as well. As far as East Boston, we've had a number of conversations with a few organizations, that wanted to increase job opportunities for young people in the East Boston community. And there are employers there that are part of the Youth Jobs Program. And I know that we want to do a better job of expanding job opportunities for young people in East Boston. I would also say in the Brighton area as well. I think there's about 2 or so youth job partners in that community. Young people tend to prefer jobs, that are, close to home, or, that they can actually, access via public transportation, and that it doesn't take, about an hour or so to get to. So I think, we have seen just a small number of jobs in those communities and neighborhoods. And I think we can, do a better job of identifying more partner organizations, in those areas. But definitely just Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan. A large number of our, partners are in those neighborhoods. Therefore, a large number of young people in those communities and in those neighborhoods make up a larger percentage as well.
Awesome, thank you. And I do want to shout out, we have 2 journalist students here who I spoke with earlier, and that was one of her questions. And we're like, are there certain neighborhoods? So it's good to hear, like East Boston, Brighton. It kind of makes sense when we think of, they're out there on islands kind of on their own, but that's good for us to know too, to maybe connect with more businesses or nonprofits in those neighborhoods to connect with youth jobs is important. You mentioned the working papers. I remember trying to figure that out myself too, and it's a lot, right? And even all the different checkoff boxes, and we have to be honest, some kids don't have the support, right? So how are we going to help kids get those signatures, and what can we do? And Councilor Braden mentioned how it's great that we're having this conversation now, because almost all of our conversations lead up to the budget and which departments need more support. So do you see a need in your office, your department, to have like someone that's committed to, just working papers? Because I know most of it does go through the school level. You're told, go to your guidance counselor, ask the secretary at school. So it's mostly through like BPS or the school you're at. But do you see a need in your office to kind of help get that done at your level so that you then can connect them directly with the jobs you have to offer?
Yeah, I think BPS is a huge partner in this effort. We have had some conversations around ways to streamline, the work permit process, and Catherine Chu, who is the Director of Guidance over at BPS, she has been around for a very, very long time. And I think she knows firsthand what it takes to make sure young people are getting, the support they need at a BPS level in terms of paperwork. I think for the work permit itself, I really think that it is a conversation that we need to have, just with the state around digitizing the process. We've attempted as a city, through our office to create a digital signing mechanism through DocuSign for the work permit process, in which it has worked for, just those young people and parents that are, that are savvy, that are going to just, navigate back and forth, in terms of just a digital signature. They're going to check their emails, but I think in partnership with PIC, because they experienced this, as well, in partnership with ABCD, in BPS, I think we just need to have a conversation around whether or not the process can be digitized, just from a state level. So I think that's a strategy. And then one of the other ideas around the work permit process is whether or not we can think about having, the nurses at BPS sign off instead of a physician, and whether or not, that's doable as well. So I think we do need to circle back around to get some answers to some of those questions. But I think those are just some thoughts that we've had. We know that the work permit process is a requirement. So really it's how do we streamline it? How do we make it easier for young people? So those are just some of the ideas that we discussed.
Awesome, thank you. Lastly, about getting the communication out there. I think of, like CPA, the Thaddeus Brown's office, there was, we had all this money and then people were realizing as years went by and we were awarded grants, like, wait, what is this, Community Preservation Act? How do I become a part of it? And I feel like I hear those same conversations about some of these great youth summer jobs. So, like, are we investing enough? You mentioned, it's a poster at a school, or maybe it's near the guidance counselor's door, or when you go to get a work papers, but are we like putting ads on buses? I know I've seen like 311 just yesterday shared out, that the Success Link is open, and I see on social media that it will pop up on my feed in lots of different places from different city departments, but are there other ways that we could support you in getting that word out there, or can we push to have the administration, invest in more money to get the word out there, if it's posters around the city or?
Yeah. We, I think more support is always welcomed to make sure that we are reaching every corner of every neighborhood. And that's, just deploying a team of folks from city council offices, to distribute flyers and posters, in small businesses, in community organizations. That has been a part of our strategy of the last 3 weeks. Our core team, which is communication outreach, recruitment and engagement team, has distributed promotional materials widely across the city. We have gotten to every high school. We have gotten to, a large number of the community-based organizations, some of the small businesses, but, I think that we can always use support with, getting the information, to more folks. So definitely I would say yes there. We have had conversations with our Department of Innovation and Technology around MBTA advertisement. We did do MBTA advertisement a few years ago, and then we haven't advertised on MBTA really since the pandemic, and this is a really great year to kind of get back to that level of advertisement. But those conversations are happening with the Do It team to get some of the material up. And some of the major train stations where a lot of young people, are commuting, and on some of the bus stations, and even on some of the, the bus shelters as well, which is owned by the city. So we've had those conversations to post more youth jobs information there. We're having a pretty big youth jobs and resource fair on April 22nd at the Reggie Lewis Center. We have seen tremendous success from this event in 2018, 2019, and that was the last time we've done this event, right? So we're pretty excited that this youth jobs and resource fair will be an added engagement strategy to connect young people to jobs. We're asking for all of our employers and partners to attend this youth jobs and resource fair. Recruitment and registration has already begun for young people as well, so the registration is open to get young people to the event. We are asking employers to strongly consider making a job offer to those young people that attend, right? So that it's also an incentive that if you show up, there's a strong chance that you could be offered a job, right? And that's what we want. We want to use that event, as that initiative to connect, young people to jobs.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Councillor Louis-Jean?
Thank you, Councillor Braden, and thank you again to the panelists for being here. Rashad, I think you, Director Cope, want to thank you for all the work that you do. We know that there's a lot of energy on the council, and I just hope that you always appreciate and accept that energy as everyone looking out for our kids. So, you talked about, as Councillor Murphy started asking these questions about paperwork, is there less paperwork for a young kid if they want to work at Target than if they want to get a job through SuccessLink? It's the same amount of paperwork?
Yeah, if you're hiring a young person as an employee, all right, there's the I-9, which is just required. In the I-9, there's a List A item, not to get too much into details, but a List A item is like a passport, or you have to have a List B and C item, which could be, school proof, so report card or school ID, and birth certificate and social security card, right? So I-9s are required at Target, city, if you're hiring a young person as an employee. We've tried to, scale back like the providing proof of residency, right? Because we know that our young people, they're BPS students, they're MECO students, they're charter school students. So asking for proof of residency is one area in which we have talked about just trying to be a little bit more flexible in terms of just not having young people like find a bill, that they actually need to produce. But yeah, it's largely the same.
Thank you. And during the pandemic, I know that there was some flexibility that employers it was murky, but some flexibility around doing this, because as a lawyer, this issue came up where I was working prior. Some flexibility in accepting digitized, is that happening? Like, where does that stand? I know you talked about it, but like, is there more flexibility now around I-9s and the forms in which we're able to accept? And
yeah, it was largely around just digitized Social Security cards, made like a copy of it, because I think original, I-9 requirements, ask for like, the original card and original birth certificate. So we are still accepting just copies of those documents.
that's been fine.
Yeah, it's been helpful, I would say, Counselor, but the new 14-year-olds and new 15-year-olds, that are just coming into the youth jobs program for the first time. I think we often see, that group, with, just challenges navigating collecting paperwork, right? Mm-hmm. The 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds that have participated for a few years, I think they have the paperwork together because they understand what's needed from prior participation, I would say.
Great. And you talked about parity, which I think is important. So if you repeat what is like a young student, how much are they making via SuccessLink, and do you know what the comparison is via like the, job on the market, whether that be a Target or a Stop and Shop or a hardware store or whatever?
Yeah, I think we know as of last year, like Target, Stop and Shop, a young person, Target, Amazon, not really sure about Stop and Shop actually, but a young person was able to earn about $17, $18 an hour. The youth jobs program for the city is paying $14 to 18-year-olds at minimum wage, state minimum wage.
Can you repeat that? $14.
14 to 18-year-olds at state minimum wage, which is $15
15.
an hour. And then we're paying those 19 to 24-year-olds at $17 an hour, which is, an additional $2 above minimum wage.
What would it cost? I mean, you may not have the math if you do back of the napkin math. What would it cost to increase what we're offering to our young kids via SuccessLink by $2 an hour?
Yeah,
What would it cost the city?
I can get those numbers to you, but I feel like it's probably like about a 4% increase in the total budget. But I can actually get that entire figure. And those discussions, are happening. I think we have to think about the impact across the labor market. When we talk about just increasing wages for, a 14-year-old making $17 an hour when the minimum wage is $15 an hour for, other adults, that are earning.
For sometimes their parents in their own house, right?
Yeah. So I think we have to have a real, just honest conversation around, just around that, and making sure that we're making the right decision, if we are looking to increase, just hourly rates for young people, and that's not happening for, just, the larger labor market as well.
Okay, 2 last questions. One is for you. One is so we know that there were a number of summer jobs that went unfulfilled last year, correct? And you may have stated this, but just for clarity on the record, what are the top 3 reasons, or top 2, or start with the first reason, and that's the case, and then followed by, just so that I can line it up with what our biggest pushes need to be.
Yeah, I think the largest reason last year is, the goal to increase jobs to 6,000 as opposed to 5,000. It came after we've identified all of our partners and after we allocated out all of our jobs, right? So then we allocated out 5,000 jobs because that was the actual goal. And then we did increase that to 6,000. But at that point, many partner organizations had already moved forward with their planning, and they really, it was a tough wiggle room.
So a timing question.
Yeah, for us to go back and ask them to do more. Some of them did do more, but not everyone. So I think having this year, there is a goal, on the front end much earlier. So organizations and partners who are hosting these jobs have time to plan to help us reach those goals.
And so how many did we fill last year?
4,567, I think that's the number I just shared a short while ago.
And are employers fully covered via SuccessLink, like the cost of taking on a student? Are they, like the city of Boston, fully covers them?
We fully cover the wage for the youth participant, and we're also providing 11.5% overhead for those organizations that are receiving the grant funding to pay the young people.
Great. Madam Chair, do I have time for?
Yes, you have time for one more, and then I want to recognize Councillor Worrell has joined us, so he will have an opportunity to ask us questions.
So was there an opportunity, okay, I'm going to ask, quickly, was there an opportunity so there was that gap of 1,500 jobs that sort of were unfunded via summer jobs? Is there an opportunity for us, do we have the technical framework to do it, to roll those jobs over into year-round jobs and are we doing that? Because that's something that I would like to see, and I've been approached by a lot of organizations serving young people in the 19 to 24 age range. So would love to see us increase our capacity to offer job opportunities for young adults in that age range.
Yep, I will say yes to both of those. Our goal this current school year going in was 1,500 jobs right now, and we're still not we finished our hiring for the school year, but right now there's over 1,800 young people that are working during the school year because we actually did take some of that funding from the summer and roll that into the school year, which allowed us to employ more young people. And then yes to your second question as well, in terms of providing more job opportunities to that 19 and 24-year-old population. We do have more jobs this year for that age group as well.
Thank you, Director Copeland. I thank you, and whatever you need to help build out the infrastructure of your office so that you are able to support our young people you have. One mini last question for Anthony. Thank you for being here. I also have to look up. I'm like, this man is either a minister, a pastor, a rapper, a singer. Just your lyrical presentation of the information, I just was so attuned. So thank you for being here.
Sure.
With respect to exposing our young kids to careers in like the mental health space, I'm just wondering, and this my interest areas, can we think about, apprenticeship type programs for our young people in schools for them to become these guidance counselors that we need, to become these social workers that we need? Do you do any of that? And I'd love to hear about any thoughts that you may have on that.
To prepare them for roles?
Yeah, like careers, like thinking about, I think oftentimes you can't be, you can't be what you can't see. You can't be what you don't have exposure to. And we know that we have an unprecedented mental health crisis right now with our young people really, really struggling. And I think who better than young people to really think about, a lot of them can identify the issue, but how can I see myself as part of the solution? And maybe seeing themselves as part of the solution is thinking about what a career would look like as one of the adults supporting our young kids, either as guidance counselors, social workers, psychologists, whatever have you that we need to further buttress the support for our kids in our schools.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I think it's the mission of the organization, really to diversify the pool of health professionals. And so BAHEC centers on that, but there are certainly other workforce development opportunities for young people and internships or that first step that they need to realize a position there and make an impact in that way. And so, we have a focus on, behavioral health, public health being within the Boston Public Health Commission. There are a lot of opportunities for them to shadow, different fields and disciplines and beyond the summer, but also the academic year, and think about, how can I make a living out of this and how can I give back and make an impact that way. So yes. And we're looking to do it more. I think the more partnerships we have, the more opportunities that we learn about, we can create that avenue for some of the young people too. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you also, Ted Lombardi, for being here. No questions for you, but just appreciate your work.
Thank you, Councillor Louisiane. Councillor Worrell.
Thank you, Chair Braden, and thank you to Councillor Murphy for bringing this important matter to the City Council. And thank you to everybody on the panel for all their work with young people. Also wanted to give a big shout out to Director Cope and his team for being a great and supportive partner and bringing on new partners this summer with our office. And my question is around the data. I know we have 4,506 youth jobs last year, and we're looking to get more. How many community partners compared to last year have we added this year to kind of meet that need?
Yep. I don't have that number in front of me, but I would say that we probably have roughly about between 10 and 15 new community-based organizations. And then we have also engaged colleges and universities to create a summer jobs, higher education consortium. So, that is a huge effort to get young people engaged in jobs on college campuses as well. So we're waiting to hear back from some of those colleges who are excited and willing to step up and create and provide job opportunities, learn and earn opportunities on campus for college students as well.
Awesome. I love that idea, that collaboration. And I know when I was a young man, 2016, oh man, a long time ago, it was, basketball. Basketball is all you wanted to do during the summer. And I love to learn and earn. Have we thought about play and earn? Because every time I go to those gyms way out there, you see nothing but Boston young men and women playing AAU. Have we thought about like a play and earn model?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think intentionally, we have strategized around a play and earn model, but I think by way of some of our partners, Boston Parks and Rec, has a number of sports camps, that are happening during the summer, and those sports camps are staffed by summer jobs participants. There are some sports programs across the city. Boston Showstoppers is one of them. like they're a summer job partner, and young people, are working, and they're an AAU program, as you mentioned as well. And I think we can look down the list of all of our partner organizations to get an idea of which ones are sports-based. You have the BNBL program that's happening across the city. Young people are being employed, to staff that program as well. So I think there is quite a bit, that is happening within the makeup of our current partners.
Got it. And just to continue advocacy for the year-round jobs, that's something that I would love to just make sure that we're trying to build up a lot more throughout the school year. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Worrell. I had a few questions just, let's see. In terms of just the groups that we outreach, I'm a little concerned to hear that we've got 2 partners in Alston Brighton. Like, Alston Brighton's the second largest neighbourhood in the city, so 2 youth jobs partners seems a little on the slim side. So, how do we go about recruiting new partners?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that we've done. We identify just community-based organizations across the city, and we have our team reach out to those community-based organizations to gauge their interest in being a summer jobs partner. So that is one way in which we've recruited new partners, and then it's kind of just through our school partners as well, just identifying which organizations are partnering with some of our schools as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the other issue it comes to mind is I have a background in working in a special education setting and developing a portfolio of work experience for students with disabilities. Like, is there any attention given to those students who want to build up their resume and have some job experience, who maybe have an IEP? Maybe that might be a question for our BPS folks, or any of you can answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, I can just jump in first. I think one of our largest youth jobs partners has been the BPS Stride program. They have participated every year. They do provide roughly about between 120 to 160 or so job opportunities to students with disabilities. And I know that they've been an incredible partner. Young people are engaged. Strive Wentworth, they have a Madison Park program. They have a DISC program as well, which is, so I don't know if you want to speak a little bit more about Strive, but they have been the largest youth jobs partner for that population.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect, Rashad. And I think the only other thing I would add is a lot of the work, the in-person work, is sort of really attaching students to areas of interest and ability, right? And that is the work of doing this sort of one-by-one, student-by-student, family-by-family work through the liaisons and the PIC specialists. So, there's, Strive takes care of sort of a big bucket, mm-hmm. But I think a lot of that work is really individualized in terms of having an ability mindset towards students. What can they interact with? What are they going to be successful with? And can we attach them to the right thing at the outset?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of that.
So you work off their student profile to see what their strengths and weaknesses are, and then try and get a good match. And that takes a lot of one-to-one.
Exactly.
And I'm also curious in terms of our outreach menu of folks. Do we reach out to BHA and the different communities across the city? We have a lot of our young people actually live in BHA. Do we reach out to those folks?
Yeah, we BHA is also one of our youth job partners as well, and we have gotten into some of the housing developments to engage young people. So yeah.
Let's see. And then I'm curious, you said the young adults, the 19 to 24-year-olds, and they, do we have any metrics of those? Do they just work for the summer, or are those the sort of groups that we would provide? Like, once you're 24, you're really, are those college students are here for the summer and go back to college in the fall, or are those students who've maybe left our high schools and are not fully employed and want to build their resumes? Like, who exactly are those 19 to 24-year-olds?
Yeah, largely they are college-age students, not so much of that older, disconnected population. Although we do see some of those, young adults participate in the youth jobs program. I think the challenge for the disconnected young adults is, the youth jobs program. It's short term. Right, so there's always an end period, and those young adults are looking for longer term employment opportunities. But yeah, it's mostly just college students, that are, just leaving, during the school year, coming back for the summer, and they're connected to some of these nonprofit organizations because they once were a youth jobs participant.
Mm-hmm. So, and then just to drill down into this disconnected population, like we've had an incredible disruption in the last 3 years with COVID, and there are students who graduated from school, high school, and they're definitely disconnected. They're not on a career path. And are we doing any remedial action to try and reconnect with those students who maybe left school in the middle of COVID and sort of are adrift a little? Are we making sure that, are we trying to address that population?
Yeah, I would say that, so there's the traditional short-term youth jobs program, right? And then there's, there's some funding from YouthWorks, which is funding from the state, to think about ways in which we can further, develop a strategy around connecting with that population. So the YouthWorks funding through Commonwealth Corporation, that's being managed by Katie Gall and the Office of Workforce Development. There has been engagement with a number of community-based organizations that do provide opportunities to that proven risk population. So there is an initiative, like a pilot initiative, that's just wrapping up, to think about ways in which we as a city can be more intentional around reaching that young adult population. And there will be some funding provided to expand job opportunities for that population going into the summer and into the fall.
Yeah, because I think that segue into from a summer job experience and then into more year-round employment, if you're exploring different career options, is really helpful. And then, how many young people do we end up having who have year-round jobs?
Yep. So this last year was what number did I just share? 18. This is on a record, so I want to make sure I'm always giving you guys the same number.
I think it's like 18.
Yes, yeah, roughly just over 1,800 this current school year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Excellent. So it seems like, Councillor Murphy, do you have any other questions?
No, thank you. Just want to thank the panelists for coming and sharing and giving us work. I always like leaving meetings knowing that we can partner and get our kids jobs. Because as you know, and it was one of the reasons I made sure that the hearing order was written to include, it is the financial piece. We know some kids are going to work because they need to help contribute to their family's finance, but that's not all our kids. And we really just need to get our kids out of the house and socializing, working, and all of these opportunities for them to just become successful young adults. And supporting your department and everyone else who works alongside you is definitely a goal. So thank you for sharing, and we'll be in touch to make sure we continue to push these jobs out, and we'll be at the job fair for sure to support. Thank you.
Councillor Louis-Jean.
Thank you, Chair Braden. I just have two more questions for you, Director Cope. One is, can you tell us, you told us the day of the fair, it's April 22nd. Do you have the Reggie Lewis Fair, Reggie Lewis Center, but do you have the time?
Yep, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Awesome. And then I think Councilor Earl may have asked a question that was somewhat similar, especially you were talking about Brighton being an area where we need to scale up our jobs. What do our partnerships look like with our universities, like Boston University, Harvard University, that could take on our young kids?
Yep. So BU, Tufts, Northeastern. Those are some of the colleges and universities that are coming aboard to provide some summer job placements for this summer. And we're still waiting to hear back from a few more colleges and universities. But that's a new initiative this year to expand job opportunities on college campuses.
Okay, great. And Harvard is included in that.
Yeah, Harvard's actually going to work directly with the Boston Private Industry Council. But
Okay.
yes, they're still a part of that
Okay.
jobs ecosystem.
Great. It's just important that our universities who already, don't pay taxes and are really leaning into the work of building up our young people. I mean, this is also Ted, I didn't ask you a question, but there's so much synergy that we should be tapping into for our young people. All the institutions that we have here, when we're talking about career readiness, or college readiness, and we're talking about career readiness, so many industries here for our young people. And I feel like sometimes there's some, and as an at-large city councilor, there's so many people having these conversations for our young people. I was recently at the base in Roxbury, and before that I was at United South End Settlement. And one of the things I was talking about the base, number one, I was talking to them about Success Link, and they need to know about Success Link and their ability to partner with you all. But there are just so many people thinking about these questions, and I just sometimes feel like I go to these meetings and I just had this conversation with someone else who's trying to solve this question. So more synergy around everyone coming to the table and thinking about what efficacy really looks like here for our young people, to be more targeted with our resources. And oftentimes there's a sense of I'll just speak in the nonprofit world that I was once a part of. There's a sense of competition, but really, how do we build up our nonprofits to realize that the depth of the problem about making sure that our young people are engaged and see a path and a life for themselves that they didn't necessarily see in their homes. There's so much work to do that there's enough room for everyone, there's enough funding for everyone, and if there's not enough funding, that's our job to really do the advocacy around that. But I'm just putting that out there, that I'd love to see more synergy with all the folks working, whether it's on young adult jobs, year-round jobs, summer jobs, and all the nonprofits, especially in our neighborhoods where we know when our young people aren't engaged, that problems occur, right? So I think about this work, and I know you think about this work too, as prevention on the front end, and how are we making sure that we are building up whole people. And there are so many organizations and people either doing one-offs in this work that I think that, whether it's a conference or a symposium or a way of bringing everyone together to really lean into this work. Ted, for you, that might look like unions and our nonprofits and all the people working around it, and it may look different for you, Director Cope, but I think that there's so much energy around solving this problem that I'd like to see a lot more collaboration and working together, not just here in the city and government, but with all of our partners on the ground, which I know you all are doing, but I think we could benefit from a lot, conferences, talks, being more strategic with how we work with our partners. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
It seems like from our conversation we have a few action steps. The digital application process, and then figuring out at the state level what's the minimum requirement rather than and making it more streamlined. I think the idea that accumulating all of these documents that young people need. I heard recently of young people who missed an opportunity to travel on represent the city overseas because they couldn't get their passports organized. The communicating with parents is complicated. So I think just trying to digitize the digital application process and trying to see how we can streamline it as much. And that, again, as you said, that requires working with the state at the state level. And then also the issue about needing a doctor's note to say that you're fit and well and able to do apply for these jobs. I know myself, getting a doctor's appointment with my PCP, it's a couple of months out. So if you need a quick turnaround and a young person needs a doctor to sign off on something, we need to really work and see if we can have the nurses in BPS be a part of that solution as well. So, I think, again, I think if we all work together, if anything we can do as city councillors to support this effort and help you, please let us know. But I think it is a team effort, and as Councillor Louis-Jean said, it's preventative, it's very positive, and really empowering for our young people to get this exposure and to get these jobs. And it's such an important piece of the work that we do, not only developing our future future citizens, future residents, and future city employees, and possibly future city councillors and all the rest of it. So I really appreciate all the great work you're doing, and thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.